Batman 1989 was the first movie I ever seen in the movie theater when I was a kid. And from there on, I was obsessed with Batman. I was obsessed with going to the movie theater. My father worked at the movie theater when I was a young boy, and he worked at the drive-in movie theater. And we didn't have a lot of money, so we would go to the movies for free because he worked there, and that was like our form of entertainment. And I loved going there. So that and Batman kind of started that for me. I think I was about 4 or 5 years old when the '89 Batman came out. Well, when I saw Batman Returns at 7, I remember being so disappointed. I remember when the credits came up, the end of the movie. I remember acting like I liked it because I loved Batman so much and I wanted to love it. But I was just like, wow, that movie was silly. And a lot of critics are kind of talking about it these days like it's underrated and it's ahead of its time and it's really dark. It's not dark. This movie is not dark. It's silly. It's visually dark because it's Tim Burton and he gives you that world, but it's silly. It's silly and it's overly sexual. That's what I would say too. It's not dark, violent, and it's not serious. It's very sexual. I mean, Penguin's trying to bang Catwoman during the second act of the movie. Penguin's just a perverted creature in this movie. And he's constantly making advances to Catwoman. And then Catwoman grabs Batman's cock in this movie. Grabs his cock. Which I don't care. Like, I didn't even care when I was a kid. It's not like, oh, there was too much sexual. No, it was fine. I'm just saying it's not dark. It's not serious. It's sexual and it's silly. Every fight scene in this movie is stupid. It is the wackest fucking fight scenes. Remember the first one? It worked. And it worked because he was always kind of hiding behind a wall or he was in a shadow and he came out and, you know, kind of just like hit him once. And even in the scene in the alleyway where Vicky Vale's taking photos of him, it works because there's a guy that knows kung fu in the bat suit, one of the stuntmen, and you get a good idea that this guy knows what he's doing. And that was a good fight scene. But every fight scene in Batman Returns is fucking whack. Every fight scene is whack, and that's kind of when I sat down in the movie theater. I was so pumped to see this movie, and I love Michael Keaton is my favorite actor of all time. He was when I was a kid too. So anything that he was in, I was always excited to see. Anyways, even if it wasn't Batman related. And the movie starts off amazing. I loved baby Penguin snatching the cat, you know, and eating it or whatever they imply that he does in that cage. I love his parents looking at each other, and I love the rhythm too. I love Tim Burton's direction and the rhythm of how these people act, and I love the look. It looks very old time. You don't know if it's like the 1940s, but also the 1990s kind of look. But I love it when they dump him in the river and you watch this carriage go down, almost like a Moses kind of thing, and it falls deeper into the sewer, and then you get the Danny Elfman theme song comes on, and it says Batman Returns, and it's like dun 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 dun. I was on board, right? I was on board when they, you know, Commissioner Gordon, shoot the signal, put the signal out, and the Batman sees the bat symbol, and he's just sitting alone in a chair, brooding, or very intensely pondering, if not brooding. Regardless, Michael Keaton looks amazing. He looks super serious. He's looking at the bat symbol. He gets out of his chair, and the downfall of the movie is when Batman rides his Batmobile into town, and he just starts pushing buttons, and I don't know, these gadgets would come out, and that's how he was stopping Penguin's gang. And that's fine enough. That's not even that bad. But I just remember thinking that was silly too. And I remember thinking I just wanted more. I was like, oh, he's, you know, when you're a kid, you love the action scenes. You want to see Batman fight, and you're just like, here we go. And within that scene, he knocks maybe 3 people off a motorcycle. He sets one guy on fire, and then he saves Selina Kyle by shooting his bat rope thing at the brick wall, pulling it out and stopping it by essentially knocking the guy out with a brick wall. And that's all he does. And Commissioner Gordon's like, thanks for saving the day, Batman. It's like, saving the day? I mean, I guess we're supposed to believe, you're just supposed to assume that he did all this other shit, but that's not what they showed. And I guess you can assume that, but it was whack. And from there, I remember watching this movie when I was 7, waiting for it to make sense and waiting for it to get good. And it just never quite got there. It got there at the end. Not at the very end. But at near the end, it has one of the best scenes in any Batman movie. Is in this Batman movie. And I will give it credit for that. That scene where Michael Keaton and Michelle Pfeiffer are at the ball. They don't have their costumes on, and they're slow dancing. And Bruce Wayne's like, I came here for you. And she says that she came there for Max. And she pulls out a gun. She's like, this in Max. And she starts making this speech about how not killing him won't solve anything. And she's like laughing and crying at the same time. And it is really fucking good acting. It's a great scene. It's too good. When you watch that scene, you're like, you know the potential this movie had, and it's surrounded just by things that happen. You never get like, you don't feel like Batman's going to win, because it's very unclear of what is even the point. Like, you know, Max Schreck has a point. He wants to suck energy from Gotham, so he can leave this legacy to his son, and he's pretty much hungry for power, more power, because he's already a powerful man. He's got a thing. Penguin just jumps around to different things. I guess throughout the whole, and I never understood this, throughout the whole movie, he's getting records for the firstborn children of Gotham, so he can kill them. But I never understood that when I was like watching the movie. I never knew that was his plan near the end. It feels like he just switches to that plan. Well, actually, he switches to, well, fuck it. We're just gonna send my penguins out, and they're gonna start bombing Gotham City now that Batman stopped me from, you know, getting all the firstborn children. And then, you know, then he tries to run for mayor because, you know, let's do that. And then, oh shit, people turned on to me. Now let's do this. Oh, that didn't work. Now let's do this. It was just all over the place. Selina Kyle had, you know, she had motive. She essentially was pissed off at her boss. And she just wanted to get her, this powerful man who's corrupt. And she essentially, that was her thing. She just wanted to pretty much wreck his life. So she had a thing. She wasn't nobody is any, if you thought Batman 1989 took liberties, this movie takes so many liberties. Nobody is their comic book part. Like, nobody. Penguin, he's not like a crime boss. And that's fine. I don't mind that they're not like, I think writers can be open and take different liberties for different things, and it just means we get a different approach. Like, this is what we got. Back then, it was a little more upsetting because they weren't pushing out superhero movies constantly like they do now. So this was our Batman movie, and if it wasn't close to the comic books that we read, it was a little disappointing. But now when you got all this stuff, you're like, oh, well, this is just one of those movies, and this is his interpretation. You know, and if you don't like it, go read your comic books. You know, you always got Batman Mask of the Phantasm. You always got You always got, now you got the Dark Knight series, you got Batman v Superman, you got Robert Pattinson, you got so many options and so many different writers that write Batman in the comic books too, that you can go towards. You get your Frank Millers, you know, just, you know, and you still got your, you know, Batman Beyond. You just have a lot of, you got a lot of options if you're a Batman fan. And there's certain Batmans, like even me, there's certain Batmans that I love to read, and then certain ones that I don't anymore. Like, I love this, I forget what the series is called, but Batman's missing, and Dick Grayson takes on the cowl, and Damian Wayne is the Robin. And I love that series and the comic books because it's a little lighter. The way that they play off each other, Dick Grayson and Damian Wayne, is very fun. I get bored with reading the Batman comic books who just, they keep trying to make it so damn dark. Like, they're trying to one up each other on how serious and dark they can get it. And after a while, I like that approach on Batman, I really do. But after reading so many comic books like that, it just gets boring to me, and I want to read something fun. You know, I don't want to read all this philosophical shit about what it is to be Batman. Is he actually doing good? What does Joker, like, I'm so sick of the dialogue about Batman and Joker being opposites and how they complete each other. Like, God, like, even Christopher Nolan took that approach, which was kind of cool because that was the first time we've seen it explained in a movie. But every fucking writer, I feel like, is just going so into that aspect of that. And it's like, there are more stories and different dialogues when it comes to Batman and the Joker. But I don't know, I just went off on a little rant there about comic books. But Batman Returns, it's not dark. I think it's silly. It's got the worst, what is it? In the second act, there's a fight scene where Batman is trying to stop Penguin's gang from rioting in the streets, which doesn't really even look like a riot. That's the thing, the scale of this movie. You never feel like Gotham City is like being lived in. There's barely any people around. Anyways, Penguin's gang, and he's trying to stop them. And then he runs into that big bald dude, right? And he says, yeah, go ahead, hit me. And Mike Keaton punches him, and it doesn't faze him, right? And then Batman smiles. And the guy's like, why is he smiling? And he looks down, and he realizes he's got a stick of dynamite in his fucking pants. And it's been lit on fire. That is stupid. You could do shit like that, and that's very, I guess that's very Looney Tunes-esque. It just doesn't work in this movie because tonally they are going for kind of a serious thing, and the tone is all over the place, and I don't think that works because that dude would have felt Batman putting a stick of dynamite in his fucking underpants and lighting it on fire. How do you not? And I know that what they're going for, you're just supposed to not think about that in the audience and accept that this is actually kind of a fun little gag. It's a fun little action piece. It's a fun little, and he murders him too. And a lot of critics always bring up that, like, he just blew a guy up with dynamite. First of all, that scene is played for laughs. But even when I saw that at 7 years old, I thought, I just couldn't, it took me out of the movie. It was like, this is ridiculous. There was quite a bit of scenes like that in this movie. The infamous freaking scene where his black eyeliner makeup just fucking disappears in the scene right before he tears his mask off. And I've heard people make really good points. It's like, why didn't Tim Burton just shoot that shot from behind, and then once he fucking tears the cowl off, he just pans his camera around and then shoots his face? And no, it's Batman with the dark around his eyes, and then boom, next scene, no dark around his eyes, and it's so noticeable, and it takes you right out of the illusion of how we're supposed to see him. Oh, it's silly. It's a silly movie. It's actually one of my least favorite. I don't know. I love it. I do love it, and it's in this weird way. I have to ignore a lot of things to love it. I watched it a lot when I was a kid, like I said, because we didn't have that much Batman movies out. Like, so I watched it a lot. But even when Batman Forever came, I loved Batman Forever because Batman Returns was so dull to me. And I wanted that. I wanted to see a Batman movie, and I feel like Batman Forever gets a bad rap, but at least Joel Schumacher gave us a Batman movie, regardless of the campiness in that, which I'm okay with the campiness. You know, it doesn't bother me because they tackled a lot of dark, serious subjects in that, and they also focused a lot on his parents' death in that movie. And who he really is. Is he Bruce Wayne? Is he Batman? He blames himself for the death of his parents. He has these dreams, these nightmares. And on a psychological level, there's a lot of good themes in that movie, as well as all the campy shit. And I love the way the Panther suit looks. I love the way Val Kilmer looks in the mask. Val Kilmer, I think, is probably I would say the most handsome person that played Batman. That's just my opinion. He's got those lips, and it looks really good in the mask. But yeah, Batman Returns. I was very disappointed when I saw it when I was 7. I always go back to it thinking it's going to get better for me, and it never does. You know, and that's just my opinion. I just think it's a little whack.